A couple of things for those of you who don't know, my name is Wade Turner. I am talking to you tonight in my capacity as freshman Piedmont Regional Director for the North Carolina State Beekeepers Association. If you're not aware, the Chatham County Beekeepers Association is a affiliate chapter. A couple of things real quick. I know there's not a lot of height difference when you stand up. Stand up. So one thing that I get to announce as in my capacity as regional director is when folks complete their journeyman level of the North Carolina State Beekeepers Association Master Beekeeper Program. And recently, our own Valerie has completed, so she is now a journeyman. And the other thing I wanted to point out tonight is we have a couple of distinguished guests here with us, kind of snuck in the door. Dave and Dorinda Freeby, they are from New Hampshire. I met them through the Eastern Apiculture Society. They are both master beekeepers in the Eastern Apiculture Society program. Dorinda actually, you're still doing testing, right? She's involved. She's involved with the exam testing for that program with the EAS. And Dave is New Hampshire's version of the state apiarist. He's the sole inspector. He does not have any Shirley Harris's anybody work for him. If you're in New Hampshire and you got a beehive, you don't call Don Hopkins. You give Dave a call and he comes and shows up. So they're down visiting some folks south of here, so they thought they would come join us tonight. So welcome to Chatham County. How many folks here are not members of the NCSBA? All right, we'll hit it real quick anyway. So the NCSBA was formed in January 11th, 1917 in Winston-Salem at a meeting of over 150 beekeepers. We currently have over 5,500 members. There are 83 affiliated chapters across the state. I don't know that this number is right. We're in the beginning of the year, so memberships are rolling. So that number may be going up. Chatham County Beekeepers currently has 46 members. That's not necessarily every member of Chatham County, because you're not required to join the state organization if you decide to join your local chapter. Our big draw is we have 2 conferences every year, one in the spring, one in the summer. And we put out a quarterly magazine called the NC Bee Buzz. And it's edited by Master Beekeepers, Dr. Lane Cretlow, and Chatham County's own Jody Moore. Real quick leadership stuff. The 24-25 Board of Directors is composed of 7 officers, 12 regional directors, and 2 ex officio members who are on there in a non-voting capacity. Our NC State apiarist, who is currently Don Hopkins, and the NC State Extension apiculturist, Dr. David Tarpey. That's the executive committee. It didn't change a lot. Gordon Goking stepped down as first vice president and was replaced by Marianne Helton at our elections back in July. Marianne is from Mecklenburg County. There are 12 regional directors. The North Carolina is broken up into 3 regions, mountain, Piedmont, and coastal. And there are 4 directors from each of those regions, kind of like the directors here in CCBA. They serve 4-year terms. So each year, 1 director from each region gets reelected or retires and somebody else goes in. We had some turnover this year. So we recently had a couple of new people appointed because some folks had to step off. Dave White and myself ran, and John Marshall. We're the new, Dave and I are repeats. John's a new guy, so we're the freshmen again this year. And Todd Swanson and Michael Ekiden stepped into other people's terms who had to leave early before they served their 4 years. So now we're going to talk about our 2 annual conferences. The spring meeting is coming up soon, March 6th to 8th in Union County. And our summer meeting is going to be July 10th through the 12th at Blue Ridge Community College. If you are a regular attendee of our state colleges, you likely have been to the Monroe site before at the Union County Agricultural and Event Complex. This year, we are going to have a joint meeting with South Carolina. We've had meetings like that in the past. The way that should work, it occurred on a biennial basis, so every other year, and then every other one of those years, the host organization swapped. So if this is successful and we decide we want to return to do this in 2027, our spring meeting will be joint with South Carolina and they will be hosting. So I want to talk a little bit about the speakers that we're going to have. We've got a full deck this year. Our keynote speaker will be Dr. Derek Mitchell. Dr. Mitchell is from the Leeds Institute of Fluid Dynamics, a part of the School of Mechanical Engineering at the University of Leeds in Leeds, West Yorkshire, England. Dr. Mitchell earned his PhD in 2024. His thesis was titled Thermofluid Engineering of the Honeybee. He studies heat transfer and insulation for natural and man-made hives, i.e. nests, and other thermoregulation topics. He has written articles for the ABJ, such as Honeybee Engineering, Top Ventilation, and Top Entrances, and has published research papers such as, hold on to this one, folks, Nectar, Humidity, Honeybees, and Varroa in Summer, a theoretical thermofluid analysis of the fate of water vapor from honey ripening and its implications on the control of Varroa destructor. I suggest a cup of coffee before attending one of his presentations. Dr. Mitchell will be giving us 3 presentations at this conference: Apis mellifera and daughters, sugar refiners and AC engineers, trees and hives compared, unexpected results for beekeepers, and finally, hive insulation, facts and fiction. Our other conference academic speakers include Dr. Tammy Horn Potter. She is a Kentucky native who first experienced beekeeping after college through her grandfather's bees. She was involved with reclamation efforts for surface coal mines in Kentucky by establishing apiaries and native plantings. In 2014, she became the Kentucky State Apiarist, a role she held until this past year when she stepped down to take a position as manager of the beginner beekeeping program at Kentucky State University. Kentucky State is like NC State, and it is one of the land-grant universities. She has written several books, including Beeconomy and Bees in America, How Honeybee Shaped the Nation. Dr. Potter will be giving 2 presentations: Colonialism to Climate Change, Honeybees in North America, and Flower Power, Establishing Pollinator Habitat. Now some state-specific folks. We are going to hear from Dr. Brad Metz. He is a postdoctoral research associate with Dr. Tarpey in the NC State Apiculture Program. He leads the Honeybee Queen and Disease Clinic and a research program on drone reproduction and behavior. He earned his PhD at Texas A&M University in 2009. He will be given 2 presentations: Venom Allergies from Personal Experiences and Brood Presence Impacts Worker Responses to the Queen. From South Carolina, we are going to hear from Ben Powell. He is with the Clemson University College of Agriculture, Forestry, and Life Sciences. He is an extension associate agent in the apiculture and pollinator program. He hasn't strayed too far from his roots. He earned his Master of Science in Entomology at Clemson in 2007. He'll be given 2 presentations: Latest Advances in Pest Management, where he'll be discussing the newest pest management products, and Plastic Foundation Testing. And finally, sort of on the academic side, we're going to hear from Bradley Calvin. He is the South Carolina Chief Apiary Inspector. He operates out of the Department of Plant Industry at Clemson University, and he will be presenting on South Carolina's yellow-legged hornets efforts and updates. And on the practical side of beekeeping things, David Burns will be our main speaker. Dave is from Illinois and has been beekeeping for nearly 30 years. He is also an Eastern Apiculture Society certified master beekeeper and is currently involved in the AS Master Beekeeper program by leading the field exam team. Dave is probably best known for his Beak Squad YouTube channel, where he produces content on beginning and intermediate beekeeping with a focus on the practical side. He will be giving 3 presentations: Learn to inspect your hive like a boss, Beekeeping isn't rocket science, how to solve beekeeping problems, and the art of mentorship. In addition to all of the wonderful speakers that we like to come see, there's a lot of other stuff going on at the conference. There will be master beekeeper written testing for all levels for both North Carolina and South Carolina master beekeeper programs. So if you want to get your South Carolina certification too, now's your opportunity, and you don't have to leave the state. There will be joint update sessions from the apiary inspectors from both states. There will be an NC State Agriculture Program update from Dr. Tarpey. The ABF is going to give us a quick presentation from their Vice President, Debbie Sieb. Sterling Frierson is going to come give us an update on the endowment chair for Dr. Tarpey's position at NC State. And as traditional at our spring meeting, there will be a silent auction that's being organized by our own Pat Weisbrot. There will be an artisan show again this year, as there was last year. For those who aren't familiar, this is a honey show without the honey. Nobody's got honey this year yet, but last year we decided to start having effectively a honey show for all of the sort of non-immediate products. They do allow wax stuff, since that can be accumulated over time, but it is stuff like gift baskets, paintings, photographs, all kinds of arts and crafts, gadgets and items. A picture here is, and I'm drawing a blank, what's his name? John. John knows try a bee supply. I know it's coming. John won last year for a bottom board that has slots in the back, so you can use your traditional Boardman feeders, but you don't have to walk in front of the hive. You can plug them in from the back. And of course, our vendor hall, we are going to have it's going to be a relatively big draw, since we're going to have more people there since it's a joint meeting. So we had a few people contact us that don't normally come as vendors. I don't know where we're going to put them in that building in Monroe. But in addition to the regular cast of our local folks and stuff like folks like Rossman, we're going to have Hilco will be there. They did join us last summer as well. And I understand Blue Ridge Honey Company is going to come there. You think, well, why do I need to buy honey? I'm a beekeeper. That is Bob Benny's company. And they'll be bringing, hive equipment and stuff like that. So, summer conference. This is going to take place July 10th through the 12th. Kind of like the spring conference, this is going to be a repeat on location. We were at Blue Ridge Community College 2 years ago in the summer. So there were some issues in getting the site locked down. Helene did not have a massive impact directly on the campus, but due to travel issues and stuff like that, they basically put everything on hold for this year until they could make sure that they were going to be able to continue holding the conferences that they had scheduled. So we recently got this locked down. So I'll be back sometime in May or June to tell you who's going to be talking then. A little update on some of the NCSBA programs. Here are the ones that I have to talk about tonight. We always like to talk about our Master Beekeeper program. There are 4 levels of achievement in that. You've seen that there. Most people know about it, so I won't rehash it too bad or too heavily. I have down here that CCBA currently has 7 Master Beekeepers, 3 Journeyman Beekeepers. Maybe that's 4 now. I don't know where they gave me the list. And 22 certified beekeepers in the program. The newly appointed coordinator, Eric Talley, is an NCSBA Master Craftsman Beekeeper. In 2024, 561 of our members achieved certified beekeeper status. 36 journeyman beekeepers and 11 master beekeepers were awarded. The emphasis for 2025 is going to be on getting all these huge numbers of certified beekeepers to start working on becoming journeyman beekeepers. And getting those folks who are partially completed, they're almost to doing journeyman, are almost there to master, to get them to finish up and achieve their next level. Certified Honey Producer Program. This is a registry. Folks in North Carolina who are members of the NCSBA who are certifying that their honey is actually made and produced in North Carolina. It costs 2 years for getting certified, and you get labels that can be purchased and put on your products, on your honey. There is some limit on that. They don't allow it on everything like flavored honeys or flavored creamed honeys, things like that. So it's got to be your straight honey. We have a new coordinator this year, Carla Robinson of Henderson County. And I was talking to Todd Walker recently. They have updated the online store. So if you remember, you can go and you order labels for yourself. They've got that straightened out. They were having some problems with it where people were scamming the site by going in and placing an order and canceling it, placing an order and canceling it. And that was creating a bunch of charges. We still had to pay credit card charges on those, even though they got refunded. So we have fixed that problem. And there is now also a flat rate shipping fee. They used to ship for free previously, but folks were going in and ordering 20 labels or 25 labels or something like this. And it was costing more to pay for the shipping than the labels cost. So there is going to be a flat rate fee for shipping now. And on the bottom here, you see the white little icon there. We have new vehicle tags since North Carolina doesn't make you have a front tag. You can put that on the front of your vehicle. The previous ones were plastic and they weren't lasting too long, so the new ones are made out of metal. So get you a fancy new metal tag for your car if you are in the CHPP. Born and bred queen rearing. This is a one-day workshop to instruct beekeepers in the fundamentals of queen rearing. It's held annually in the spring. It usually alternates between Eastern and Western North Carolina. This year it's going to be in Mills River, North Carolina in May. They don't have an exact date yet. That is actually a repeat. Originally this year's plan, we were going to have 2 workshops. And that's because of the number of folks in the mountains who lost all of their hives due to Helene. They were going to do basically another program up there for them again and still have the one down here. And kind of the idea was that the one down here would be for folks who have done this other queen rearing project. There's sort of 2 pots of grant money that Dr. Tarpley's helped us get. The born and bred queen rearing program, this workshop every year, has been funded partially by grant money, and we've got some new money to do that. Then there's an entire separate pot of grant money that went to 12 groups, 12 groups, basically from chapters, who applied to get starting money to start these queen rearing projects in their own chapters. And the idea was, we told Dr. Tarpley, we'll have this other one for all those folks wanting to do that. And he was like, well, that grant money is for people who already know how to raise queens. So if they're just taking that, so if you are part of one of those groups that got grant money to start raising queens and you don't know how to raise queens yet, don't tell Dr. Tarpley. Other pieces of news, the NCSU Agriculture Facility finally had its groundbreaking on October 3rd. This has come after years and years and years of work on this. First in the legislature to get the money passed, and then finally to get the building design, and then COVID shut everything down. We could do slides and slides and slides about this. If you want to see about the groundbreaking, get your copy of the most recent Bee Buzz. There's pages and pictures in here of more stuff than I could ever talk about. It still doesn't mean the thing's going to be built anytime soon. They're still hashing out design plans and stuff like that. And honestly, I think they'll be lucky if they start groundbreaking. They actually go out there with a backhoe and start knocking down the old house. Because if you've ever been over there to the current bee lab, it's going to be in the same place as that donated house. So they got to knock that down first. So we may have a real groundbreaking ceremony at some point later this summer. News on the endowed professorship. For those who do not know, the NCSBA is establishing a distinguished profession in apiculture. The reason for this is effectively, we don't use this word yet. You got to have more money to use the word chair. This basically permanently locks in an apiculture professor at NC State. So It costs $1 million to do this. It gets set aside and effectively a trust, and that becomes the funding trust. Whoever is sitting in that position, it's Dr. Tarpey now. When he retires and leaves, goes elsewhere, somebody else will be hired to fill his position. They get 4% of whatever that money is. As it grows, it's invested, they get that again. So we've been working on this for several years. The cool thing about the $1 million is that you don't have to have all of it. You only need 2/3 of it. So there's this other big pot of money that NC State and other universities in the UNC system have to basically supply funding to these endowments. So we only need $666,666.66. We're close. The NCSBA donated $250,000, $250,000 of that. It was supposed to take place over 5 years, $50,000 a year. We've actually advanced some payments because we felt we had enough funds in the kitty to be able to do that. And it's very possible by the spring conference, not only, I mean, we're way over with pledges, but some of these people, who pledged money at the time, it's actually possible by the spring conference that we will physically have the $750,000 in the bank over at NC State. Then there's an application process, takes several months, maybe a year, to get that other 2/3 or that other 1/3, and this thing will be wrapped up and locked in. And NC State will always have a professor of agriculture forever. We got a lot of stuff in here. Yeah. We're up there. Oh, Yellow Book. Most of you know last year they transitioned the Yellow Book from a printed copy to an electronic copy. You can access it. There's a little security thing. So people can't go in there poking around and mining folks' information. You got to go to the website for the NCSBA, click on the Yellow Book link. It fires you a temporary link to your email where you can access it for a period of time. There's a little box you can check. It'll make it active for a whole week. I recommend doing that. That's new. The new thing this year is that all permanent life and honorary members must confirm their mailing address every year. What was happening is those people who paid for a lifetime membership or had been awarded a lifetime membership, they did not need to renew their information every year. For people who renewed it every year, you basically went inactive every year. You sent your money in, it sent you in there, you had a chance to update your information. If you changed addresses, got a new phone, whatever, you had a chance to do that. Because all those permanent people weren't getting updated, it never got cleaned out. And we realized we were sending out bee buzzes and mailings and all this other kind of stuff to people who have long since passed. And it was getting expensive. Todd did run some numbers on it. And like over the past 10 years, it was in the 5 figures of money we had spent mailing stuff to people who are no longer with us. So what you need to do now is, if you are one of these folks, after November 1st of last year, but particularly after January 1st, you need to go in and renew. And it basically goes through and you just check, yes, I'm still here, nothing's changed, and your renewal fee is effectively $0 as opposed to somebody who pays every year. So the one thing that you can't change yourself, if you move counties or you change chapters, you can't change your chapter. So if for whatever reason you need to change which chapter is your home chapter, that's one of the features of the NCSBA database. You cannot be, because they don't want somebody in there 4 times because they attend 4 chapter meetings, which would overcount them for our membership. You have to pick a home chapter. So if you choose, you need to do that. You have to contact Todd directly. Yep, there's that. Last thing, and I was expecting Julia to be here tonight, but Lori, you know about this? Okay, so most everybody here knows that Hurricane Helene had a devastating effect on some portions of Western North Carolina. And everybody was excited about running up there and trying to help. And I think that's before it sunk in just how bad it was. You know, there's over 140 now. Is that right? People that died in this event, and there's still people who are missing that they haven't found. And you know, there's beekeepers who lost everything, including family members. They're not really interested or ready to start getting their hives back. And we did have some beekeepers actually up there that actually did lose their lives, unfortunately. These pictures here are courtesy of Scott Davis. He is one of the mountain regional directors. The one on the right is his front yard. He has his apiary down in the front yard, and there's a small little, not all the time wet creek. And that's what it was like after Hurricane Helene came through. And the picture on the left is after the water subsided and he went down there. And the thing he said that struck him about it was, it wasn't just that like they got flooded, but he opened up his hives, and what you see here on the right-hand side isn't just muddy water. It's actually like a slurry. It picks the lid off the top of the hives, and the inside of it is just packed with mud. It's not just drowned bees. There's like bees still crawling around. Like, well, how do you solve that? And you kind of don't. You just end up sort of throwing everything out. So going right after that, there has been some organized effort to help these folks out. Dr. Tarpey has been very involved in this, along with Jen Keller, who is in his group and is now an extension outreach agent. And you're like, well, why is Dr. Tarpey doing this on our side? If you remember all the way back to the beginning of the slideshow, he is actually on the board of directors, as is his role as extension agent. So this is where North Carolina Extension and CCBA are sort of connected together. They set up a system where multiple counties in the Piedmont region would be assigned a county in the mountains that have been affected, and that we would work together to help those out. I could give an entire presentation on that. And the information has changed very, very, very quickly. And I don't know about it as much about it as some of the folks in the chapter who do. So that's the end of my presentation. And I'm going to turn it over to Lori and let her talk about it. And I'll tell you this, if you're not doing anything tomorrow night, come down to Lee County. It's not that far. They're building equipment tomorrow night. So bring your little tack hammer or your big hammer if you like putting bodies together, and you can help them out. But Lori's going to tell you about what we're doing here. Thanks, folks. Appreciate your time.